Yeah, this too.
That's what this means. Let's go home and get a blanket.
Yeah.
Are you cold?
I am. I'll put it out to my car to my jacket. I usually am warm.
New heating system.
Yeah.
People sit on these things are tall.
Or
Somebody's short.
You know, I'm pretty sure if I got a picture right from Wilson's circle, I always put the circle way back. And my son is, 7, 8 years taller. And he sits like this. And when I get in his car, I'm like, what are you doing? Our stuff. Agenda stack. Do this.
hi.
There's a lot of people here that are just a little nervous.
I don't have your RSVP yet. Yeah, I think that's I don't have your RSVP for the party yet. Mr. Planner Man is helping us plan.
Hey, so I have some like wax, and it's all yellow, but it's got like some bits of ink stuck in it. Do you think your wife would want it so she can clean it out a little bit? Okay, yeah, because I got the melting and filtered a little bit, but obviously there was a hole somewhere.
I just want to let you know that, 1002 East End High Street. It's not on the property. It's there.
Yeah, right.
Building went away, and then they redid the water main. They didn't put the tap back, so they didn't know the building was going to go. So we had a whole main in the center.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Well, Michael, scoot
Okay.
over.
All right. Okay. When was the house demolished?
Okay, I'm gonna let you sit down for 3 months.
I don't think she meant that way.
I know, but I just curious. Because I looked up through the areas and I saw him. I didn't let you sit there. Like tiny little like way down there. I couldn't tell if it was like just sort of like a garage or a shed or an actual house. So many people get mad at me.
I would like to call this evening's council meeting to order. If you'd all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I'd like to open this evening's council meeting simply with a brief acknowledgement that one of our council members is missing. I'm sure probably many of you are aware that Tim Miller passed away recently, and it's with great sadness for us as a council, but also for his family that he's no longer with us. There is going to be a memorial service here at City Hall on the 27th of January at 3. And so if any of you are so inclined, you can come at that time and express your condolences. The first item on tonight's agenda is the consent agenda, which is a group of items to be acted upon with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of usual and routine matters by the City Council. I will ask if any citizens or any member of the council would like to see any item removed from the consent agenda, and at that time, we'll remove that item before council votes on the consent agenda. The items on tonight's consent agenda include approval of the work session and regular meeting minutes of December the 12th, 2017, approval of the expenditure vouchers for January the 9th, 2018, approval of a renewal beer and wine liquor license for Hong Kong Chinese restaurant, approval of a renewal retail marijuana store, retail marijuana cultivation facility for the Herbal Alternative, approval of a renewal retail marijuana store for LiveWell, transfer of ownership of a hotel and restaurant liquor license for Shiloh Steakhouse. So, is there anybody that would like to see any of these items removed from the consent agenda?
I don't have any.
Okay, if that case, may I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented with the extra expenditures of $89,148.88.
Second?
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. We have no presentations at this time. If there are any citizens that would like to address council on any items that are not on the formal agenda, this is your first opportunity to be able to do that. You can step up. Well, I guess I probably need to move over. Is that better? Is that better? Is that not better? Is this working? Can you hear me now? My God. Well,
Hello?
if I just talk really loudly, can you hear me? Is that better? Okay, all right. Okay, your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Lana Waters, 16415 County Road 2124. And under the new business, are we going to be able to comment on the street light installation, or do I need to do it now?
On the what?
Street light installation. It's
If
not
it-
under public hearing, it's just new
If
business.
it's an agenda item, then she needs to wait until that comes up. Is that correct?
Right, well, I think your question is whether or not council would allow public comment during that. So and council has historically allowed public comment even if it's not a public hearing, so if council is amiable to hearing public comment during that, then I think that,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, all right, okay. Is there anybody else that would like to step forward? All right. Are you talking about the streetlights on North Edith and Melrose? That will come a little later in tonight's agenda. Can you hear me okay? Okay. All right. We do have a couple of public hearings. The first one is ordinance number 1233, Series 12, or Series 2017. Neva
Okay.
Conley.
Chris and Lori Hutton have applied to the city to rezone their parcel located on the northeast corner of Mildred and Empire. The parcel is .39 acres in size and is currently vacant. The zoning is multifamily residential, or R2, and the applicants are requesting to rezone to neighborhood business. The applicants have proposed to establish a small coffee shop, farmer's market, and greenhouse on the parcel. The current land use code does not allow for restaurants or markets in R2. Without a principal structure, accessory structures are not allowed, including greenhouses, storage sheds, or ramadas. The surrounding uses in the vicinity include residential to the east and north, parks to the south, Osprey headquarters to the west in the old Montezuma Courts building. Directly west of the parcel is a vacant lot in the Montezuma County PUD. There have not been any uses proposed for this vacant lot. However, the PUD specifies uses for development by the city for business offices, high-tech businesses, conference facilities, and/or municipal and governmental facilities. An aerial review of the property going back to the 1950s showed that this lot has been vacant for at least the past 20 years. At one point, there was a small structure on the property that may have been a small convenience-type store or residence. The 1980 zoning map had this area zoned for residential and professional services. So Section 6.02 of the Land Use Code contains review criteria for rezoning. I listed these in the staff report. I'm not going to go over them line by line. The property was not adopted in the current rezoning in error. The multifamily residential zoning is consistent with the area. However, there has been some change in character in the area, including several recent developments. Osprey headquarters, the Southwest Memorial Hospital expansion, and the Montezuma County Combined Courts. The former county courts building is for sale, and the future use of that building is unknown at the time. However, that lot is zoned open, so which basically means
parks or municipal offices can go into that. So that lot may also be looking towards some sort of rezoning to actually use the old courts building for something other than municipal purposes. The residential character to the north and east does remain unchanged. There are several vacant lots within the adjacent PUD with a variety of development options allowed in that zone. So there are vacant commercial properties throughout the city that would be available to the applicants. However, few provide the opportunity for the integration of new construction into the neighborhood. The applicants felt that this was the best location for their business considering the growth in this area of the city. The proposed zoning may be compatible with the surrounding uses, as the surrounding and nearby uses are offices, public facilities, parks, and residential. There may be adverse traffic impacts. I think we all know that the intersection of Mildred and Empire Street can be congested at times. The proposed commercial use does appear to be compatible with the neighborhood. There are plans to minimize the structure height and providing landscaping and to keep the parking primarily on the west and south away from existing residents may be used to mitigate the adverse impacts associated with typical commercial uses regarding visual and traffic impacts. However, the site plan review is the only mechanism the city has at this time to review site design compatibility with the neighborhood. Any construction on the site will have to go through a site plan review other than residential. The farmer's market and the small restaurant would provide a convenient service for the neighborhood and nearby businesses, including Osprey and the hospital. The rezoning would allow for the expansion of an existing local business, which is heavily encouraged in the 2008 City of Cortez Comprehensive Plan. There are utilities in place or easily obtainable on site. Phil Johnson, the Public Works Director, just mentioned that there is a water tap available, and they already have electricity at the site. This proposal does fit with many of the directions outlined in the Chapter 11 of the 2008 Comprehensive Plan. The city stated objective on page 109 includes to incubate the development and expansion of niche goods and services. Another policy also suggests the city should consider zoning designations that promote and encourage small businesses. However, spot zoning in a residential area does conflict with the land use code, as well as several housing goals included in the comprehensive plan. One of the housing objectives is to encourage expansion of the housing supply within the city of Cortez to meet the needs of current and future residences. And policy 6.11 states to pursue policies to encourage a sufficient supply of land to be planned and zoned to meet the city's long-term housing needs. So this proposed zoning change to neighborhood business does constitute a spot zoning. The surrounding zoning districts include open, multifamily residential, and PUD. Neighborhood business is generally located outside of the first 2 blocks north and south of the downtown central business district. While the impacts of the proposed use on the neighborhood can be mitigated by site design, the land use code is fairly flexible regarding the site design, regarding aesthetics and compatibility. So whether or not the applicants do go forward with what they have told us, once we go to neighborhood business, there's a big range of uses that can go in for that site. So there is some small amount of risk for that. So this project was sent out for agency comment, and there were very few comments regarding the actual rezoning. Most of the comments will come into play during the site plan review, especially for traffic. So this did go to Planning on Zoning on November 7th, and they passed it with the attached 6 conditions, and one of them was that the city attorney should provide legal guidance on the aspect of spot zoning for this parcel. I did speak with Mike Green about this, and it is spot zoning, but there's not anything illegal about going through with that, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm under the impression that it is
I don't
something
think
that
it's
we can
spot
do.
zoning. I think it's, we're working through it in an evolution of new uses for that particular part of town. And so I didn't see it as spot zoning at all, just.
Okay.
Look up. I'm sorry if I misconveyed to you what I meant.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the clarification. I think that's it. I do see this as a place as perfect for neighborhood business. You know, something that park goers and neighborhood business people, or neighborhood residents and the surrounding businesses can walk to rather than drive to for a lunch. That they already have a food truck there, and apparently that is what is happening. A lot of the surrounding businesses are walking over for lunch. So, anyway.
Okay, Council, are there any questions that you have?
I don't have any.
All right, I'm going to open it up to a public hearing. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this action. All right. Close the public hearing. If there are no other questions or comments, may I have a motion?
I have one question, Eva. Do you know if the neighbors to that property, did they have any input, or were they contacted?
I did forget to mention, so let's see, they've gone through, I think, 3 mailings now. I've sent out 3 mailings to all the property owners within 300 feet. I did receive a call of support from 708 North Mildred, which is just the property north of the subject property, from Mr. Bruce Nelson, and he did support the rezoning.
Okay, and that was the only individual that responded?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then, Your Honor, I would point out that we do have Mr. and Mrs. Hutton here as well. I don't know if the applicants, I don't know if
Yes,
they want to.
would you like to add anything? Okay. All right, may I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the final reading of ordinance number 1233, series 2017, approving the rezonings of lot 1 to 5 west 17.2 feet of lot 6 of the Cornet subdivision, address as 1002 East Empire Street, from multifamily residence, R2 to neighborhood business zone.
The second?
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing you develop that. All right, the next item under public hearings is resolution number 1, series 2018, approving a conditional use permit for the establishment of a food distribution site at 20 North Beach Street. Neva.
All right, good evening again. The City of Cortez has received an application from Lori Hall, representing Southwest Farm Fresh Cooperative and the Good Samaritan Center, to operate a food pantry and food distribution center at 20 North Beach Street. The property is 31,105 square feet in size and located in the Central Business District. Axel's Glass at 32 North Beach is directly north, and the Kiva Montessori at 18 North Beach is to the south. The site will primarily be used as a food pantry and food distribution center, with the use most closely identified as a supermarket in the city's land use code. According to the land use code, supermarkets are required to go through a conditional use permit and public hearing process in order to obtain approval from the city. There is no proposed exterior construction on this project. The applicant's narrative states there are no proposed interior changes. However, the building code requirements may mandate some interior construction, and we have met with the applicant for a building permit, so there are going to be some changes to facilitate the use and storage of food in that space. 20 North Beach shares a parking lot with the Kiva Montessori School, a site which is operating under an approved conditional use permit. According to the Kiva's conditions of approval, the school has 13 designated parking spaces on the lot. The parking lot is 75 by 150, which can accommodate up to 32 parking spaces. The food pantry, functioning most similarly to a grocery store, will occupy about 300 square feet of the building space, requiring 3 spaces. And the staff offices, food distribution, and storage area will occupy approximately 2,900 square feet of the building and will require 10 spaces. So that's a total of 13 parking spaces, leaving 19 spaces for the use of 18 and 42 North Beach Street. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the project during their December 5th, 2017 meeting. This did go out for review, and we did have several comments that are being addressed during the building permit process, and they have, the applicants have obtained an architect and are working on plans with the city concurrently with the conditional use permit application.
All right, are there any questions, council?
I don't have none.
All right, I will open it up. If there's anybody that would like to speak for or against. Yes.
Hi, my name is Laurie Hall, and thank you for your time this evening. I'm the president of the board of directors for the Southwest Farm Fresh Cooperative and co-owner of the Farm Bistro. I'm the one who submitted the application for a conditional use permit for the Southwest Farm Fresh Cooperative and the Good Samaritan Food Pantry. I'd like to give you a little background on the project. Southwest Farm Fresh has been operating without a brick and mortar facility for 4 years. Every year has seen an increase in business, and this year the co-op will record about $200,000 in sales, money that provides income for local family farms and stays in our community. With their current infrastructure, Southwest Farm Fresh has reached a ceiling in their ability to market and distribute locally grown products. The proposed move will enable a substantial increase in farm production and sales. The Good Samaritan Food Pantry has been providing a valuable service in our county's low-income residents for many years. They have outgrown their current location on South Beach Street and are now facing limitations in food acquisition and distribution. The proposed move would enable them to meet the growing demand in our community for the safety net of food security. Several months ago, a small group of people came together representing Southwest Farm Fresh, the Good Samaritan, the Montezuma Farm to School Project, and the Magus Food Pantry. We had 2 primary goals in mind: to make locally grown food more accessible and to increase food security for our low-income residents. One thing was clear from the get-go: a location was needed that would be close to the majority of the Good Samaritan's clients and central to Southwest Farm Fresh's member farms and wholesale customers. After much searching and a few dead ends, the Pink Building at 20 North Beach came to our attention. We were drawn to this property because of its location, open interior, roll-up truck doors, and because the building owner is supportive of our goals that will ultimately benefit downtown Cortez. Right now we have an opportunity to simultaneously build our local food economy and address the nutritional needs of our residents. Speaking for the Southwest Farm Fresh Cooperative, I respectfully ask for your support of this conditional use permit so we can forge ahead and feed more people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Kristen Twerk, and I'm the director of the Good Samaritan Center, who is on this application. And I just want to voice my support for this conditional use permit. In 2017, we provided food to 7,134 people. And as Lori said, we have significantly outgrown our current location that is on South Beach Street. The increased space will help us meet our mission of providing a comfortable place for people to receive food. Right now, we don't even have enough room for everyone to sit down while they're waiting for food. It would also give us more room to provide more food for more storage and give us more office space that we desperately need. We are providing food to about 500 people a month. So again, more space is needed to get people in and out in a more timely fashion, for more volunteers to work, and just to bring a more sense of community in a space that's comfortable for the clients who are coming in to receive food. So thank you so much for considering our proposal and listening to my comments.
Well, let me ask you a question really quickly. Does the Good Samaritan Center offer any kind of food classes, menu planning, food preparation, any of that
We
kind
don't
of thing?
at this time. I know there have been some, Pinion Project did like a food class. I know St. Barnabas has done food classes. So we try not to duplicate services. I think if there was a need for services like that, we definitely would be open to those suggestions. Again, we don't want to duplicate anything.
Sure.
But I think with more space, it would give us an opportunity to do some food demonstrations with food that we currently have. Right now, literally, there is no room to even set up a crock pot that is in a safe space.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids in there. So I would love to do some things like that. These are the foods we have. This is how you could prepare them.
Okay.
If we had a new space where we could have a safe space to do those things.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
I have nothing, thanks.
Anyone else? Yes, Nina.
Laser. My name is Nina Williams. I am a member of the Montezuma Food Coalition Steering Committee that has been working to put this proposal together. I'm a local farmer, and I'm also a farmer member of Southwest Farm Fresh Cooperative. And I just want to speak a little bit, Karen, to what you asked about. This conditional use permit is for the south half of the pink building. Our vision for the north half of the pink building moving forward as we become more organized is that there is a commercial kitchen, a retail store, possibly an indoor farmer's market, and classrooms so that we can offer education around cooking to not only clients of Good Samaritan, but also the general public, and that this really becomes a food hub that addresses many of those additional needs. So right now, because of the urgency with the co-op and Good Samaritan needing a place right now, we proceeded with this first strategy. So we do look to a bigger vision.
But there's a long plan here.
What's that?
There's a long plan here.
Yes, yeah. And we're working on organizing that and looking at funding sources and getting the right partners at the table to really make this a viable piece. And really for a bigger vision that the majority of people in this city and this county get the majority of their food grown here locally. So that's really the bigger picture.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Mike.
I'm Mike Levy, 491 East Coronado Avenue, Cortez. Ms. Mayor and Council, see, I'm on the board of directors for the Good Samaritan Center, and I'm also a volunteer there. And I can attest to the fact that we do need more space, and I think this is a terrific opportunity to work this with this food co-op, and it's be a great asset to our city, and it's a really forward-looking thing that we need to consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Gail.
My name is Gail Levy, and I also am a board member of the Good Samaritan Center and a volunteer. And this is just a wonderful opportunity. We're so thankful and appreciative of the city considering this, this permit, because we are really just bursting at the seams at that little place that we're at now. And one of the things that our director has been, one of her goals and our goals and a dream is to help people get more fresh produce, nutrition-wise, because we hand out a lot of peanut butter and pasta and canned food. But one of her dreams was that we could work with more fresh produce. So we did partner with the Farmers Market this summer, and one of the volunteers was down there every Saturday to take the donations from those farmers, and we had our little cooler and we took it back. And so this is just another opportunity for us to grow and to provide better nutrition for people with food insecurity. So thank you for considering this conditional use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Council, does anybody have any questions, any additional questions? All right, may I have a motion, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I have to close it to the public hearing. Now we can take a vote. May I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve the food pantry and distribution center located at 20 North Beach, as submitted by Lori Hall, representing the Southwest Farm Fresh Cooperative. Good Samaritan Center, as outlined in Council Resolution Number 1, Series 2018, with all of the following conditions.
Second. McLaughlin. Aye. Carlson. Aye. Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Well, we look forward when you get ready, when you get yourself moved in and get ready to have an open house. Why? Be sure that you send us an invitation so we can come down and see what you're doing, what you've done. Congratulations. Now the fun begins, huh? Or the real work. All right. We have no unfinished business, so we're moving on to new business. Streetlight installation on North Edith at Melrose and Acoma Streets. Okay. Don't let me forget to bring him back in.
Aye. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we need to wait until Mr. Johnson kind of fills us in a little bit on this particular issue, and then I'll give you a chance to come and say something. Okay? Are you wanting to talk about the lighting?
Well, I can't hear you, but I'll go sit back down.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No.
Sit here in the front. Sit here in the front. Yeah. Actually, this is a ploy just to get people to sit in the front. Well, just have a seat there, and as soon as Mr. Johnson kind of fills us in on this particular thing, you still can't hear? Okay. Phil, I'm going to turn it over to you. You need to talk louder.
That's never been a problem for me.
Okay.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, we're here to talk about the street installation of Edith Street and Melrose and Acoma, which we had initially discussed in November, but we decided to table it. We did that because when we did some street light installations on the south side of the city, there were residents in the area who felt that they weren't properly noticed, and we've done this through a self-survey methodology where the residents approached Public Works and asked for a streetlight to be installed, and they provide a list of signatures from people that are for it. And it's worked, but as a result of those installations on the south side of the city, we had a lot of calls after the fact that there were people in the area that didn't know about the installation. And so in discussions with you and Shane, we decided that Public Works should take the lead on this and not make it a self-survey action item. And so what we did was we met with Empire Electric just like we normally would, and went out there and found some potential sites for installations. And then what we did was we imposed what planning and building uses is a 300-foot radius for a public hearing for a property, like they're going to do mailings or notices. So we took those 2 points for the proposed installations. We drew a 300-foot radius circle around both of those, and then we came up with a survey form, and we hung door hangers on every home in that area that's within that circle. And we posted 22 surveys in that area after we had met in November. We received 10 surveys responses as a result of that effort. 60% were for and 40% were against. In the packet and the memo that you guys have in your agenda is the survey form, the map that showed the layout of where we did in fact do the canvassing with the surveys.
Yeah, and so Council, 78 is the form that the residents were given to vote. On page 78 is that form, 79 obviously is the map, and then 80 is the summary of the citizen comments that came back.
So based on that response, when we took the proactive stance and got engaged in this, that we would still recommend the installation of these streetlights as requested by the original residents in the area, and then the responses to our subsequent survey.
Okay. Are there any questions, Council?
How many of those door hangers did we end up putting out?
22.
22, we got
10 back?
10 back. So
yes, sir.
So the signature sheet that's on page 77 in our packet, there were 11 signatures on that. Are they duplicated on, some of them looks like are duplicated.
Is that the handwritten one? I don't have the numbers on my memo.
Yeah, it's a handwritten one.
That was the original petition from the residents in the area.
Uh-huh.
So that's just a matter of record that showed, that was one of the self-survey that we did up until this last request. Okay. And then so that wasn't really part of our yays or nays in this process. The last typewritten sheet, which shows the survey.
Okay. So some of those people in that first sheet didn't respond.
Apparently not, because there were 11 for initially, and then we only received 10 responses to the 22 surveys.
Okay. Okay. Council, do you have any questions?
I have none further. Thanks.
Do you want to speak on this issue? Yes, yes.
My name is Kenneth Hurst, and I live on North Edith. And we moved in there in March. We bought a home over there. And we noticed that there's fire plugs on Acoma and Edith, but there's no light. You go down at the end of Edith, and it turns over onto Melrose. There's a fire plug back in there, but there's no light. My wife and I have drove around town Cortez, and every corner that has a fire plug's got a street light. And I've also talked to a few of the firemen, and they say, you know, it's to their advantage if they've got a light where there's a fire plug. Mm-hmm. And we've had numerous cars that go down Acoma and just stop down there because it's real dark. We don't know what they're doing. They sit over there, you know, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes but we don't know what they're doing. And then down at the end of the street where Edith turns on to Melrose, it bears back real sharp to the left, which if you don't know what we know it's there and you're coming down that road, there's no sign or nothing there that says, you know, the road turns. And if there's a light there, you can see that it turns. So all I'm doing is suggesting that we get some kind of security over there for us people that live in that area. The only lights that we have is our porch lights. I went down and bought steel beams and put on my front porch so it would light up at least in front of my house. Mm-hmm. In October, the kids come down there trick-or-treating. Their parents were concerned because it was so dark down in that area. There's a street light up on Melrose, and there's also one on Navajo. Once you leave Mildred onto Jackson, there's a street light all the way to the corner that turns and goes down on our street of Eden. And what we're asking is to have some kind of security for the people that walk up through there, plus us, because it's so dark in that area. There's no lights at all down there.
Okay.
I
Okay.
appreciate you listening to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Dave Waters. I live at 16415 County Road 21.4. We literally just found out about this about 30 minutes ago. When I happened to be looking at your docket and come across it. We actually own all the vacant land there. We were never notified of any of this. So all we're asking is that maybe you could table it for a couple of weeks and let us get with the residents and see what works out best for everybody, because it looks like the two lights that are proposed, one of them is actually on one of our pieces of property, and the other one is proposed in the middle of the right-of-way, which I'm sure is not right, which would prevent us from developing the other lots that we own there.
Both of them, this is a gross representation of the location.
Right,
They would be within a city right-of-way, and then, I know what you're talking about, where the Melrose extension would go east. It wouldn't be in the roadway. It would be within the city's right-of-way, though.
Figured that wouldn't be, but.
This is strictly visual.
All we're asking for is a chance to talk to everybody and find out where things are going and what's going on down there. Because we own, I think, in that 300-foot range, I think we own at least 9 lots. And because there's no houses on there, we were not notified. But it does affect us because it looks like both of those will probably go on our lots.
Is the location of those, they would be on the city right away on those lots, would they not?
No, they would be within the right-of-way.
But in front of our lot, so they would be connecting to the transformers that we paid to put in, which may affect us being able to get electricity to our homes that we intend to build in the future. Probably not, but I'd like to know. It could affect things like where we had to position the house, driveways, things like that. So all I'm asking is just to give us a chance to talk to the people that live down there, since we weren't notified, and come to some kind of conclusion.
What kind of policy or do we have in place when it sounds like a substantial amount of property in that area is not developed at this point?
We have no policy on this. That's
Okay.
why we, went through the planning and zoning, that radius, because that was something that the city uses already. There is no policy for the streetlight installation. It was a self-survey resident request, and so we're trying to improve on that so people will get noticed. Obviously, we did not notice the vacant lot owners. We're winging this as we go. We're trying to improve on this process. So,
And we're not necessarily against it. We would just like to be able to participate in the process, basically, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because we actually own 15 lots down there, 9 of which are within that 300-foot radius.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Is there anyone else?
My name is Terry Hurst. I live on Newton Street. We've been there 7 months, bought a home on that street. We apologize that they were not informed of lights wanting to be put up there on their property. We have a lot of teenagers that wander that road late at night. We had an incident last night where 3 cop cars come out at the end of Edith Street and took in a young adult. We had the people that own the land in front of us have a lot of people that walk all that property. They have people that get out there on motorcycles and are running their area through there and everything. So we apologize that they did not get any, but we're just concerned for our houses because some of the houses down through there have been, their cars and vehicles have been broken into because there's no light. And, I think we just need some kind of lighting. We'll work with, the people that have the lots right there. We're just asking for a little bit of light so, no more crime will come down in that area.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Jeff Brand. Sorry about my voice. I've had this cough thing going on. I live on the corner of Edith and Melrose. The darkest.
Tell me your name again.
Jeff Brand.
Brand, okay.
And I live on the corner of Edith and Melrose, the darkest spot there is. And they're right, the trick-or-treaters don't even come up our block because it's so dark. And my house has been broken into, my vehicles have been broken into. And I know what Dave and Lana are going through. I wish they were involved with it all. But we do need some lighting down there. I've seen vehicles off in the wintertime that just straight off. And it's about a 6-foot drop into the field. Most likely they were speeding, but still. We do need some lights there. It's dangerous, and I have had cars parked in the middle of the night idling on the side of my house because it's dark. And I've had to go out there middle of the night and chase them off, and I was protected. So I hate doing that, but I don't know what they're doing at 2 in the morning idling next to my house. And it's scary, so. But anyways.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No matter which one I use.
Whichever.
My name is Amy Perry. I live right next to the vacant lot. My backyard is half the vacant lot, and I have 2 German Shepherds who constantly bark, sometimes at night when they go outside, use the restroom or whatever, and I can't see over my fence because it's pitch black. And they only bark when someone or something is out there. Whether it's another dog, I don't know. Whether it's a person walking back there, I don't know. I also have 3 small children. And do I go out there and check? Yes, I do, because I'm going to protect my children. But 2 or 3 in the morning comes around, I don't know who's out there. And granted, I do have my dogs for a specific reason for that. They're good dogs, but they don't bark at just anything. And they will alert me whether they're in their house or not, daytime, nighttime. If someone's near our house, they will alert me. But if I didn't have them, or if I'm gone at work, I like to know my house is protected. And it's very dark. Like they said, again, we don't get trick-or-treaters. I think we have 4 this year, and because their parents drove them around in the car and stopped to get out. 'Cause my house is all lit up. I have Christmas decorations, Halloween decorations. I love decorating. So they come to my house too because it's lit up, so they know that someone's there to give out candy or whatever. But yeah, you do need lights over there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, council.
I'd actually like to make a motion, and I'd like to explain. I hear what all you're saying, and I think it's really important. I'd like to make the motion that we table this and bring it back at the next meeting so that the other property owners don't get disparate treatment. I hear you guys saying that they were unintentionally omitted, and I think it's only fair that they do get the opportunity to have a say. So that's my motion.
I would second that. Carlson?
Aye.
McLaughlin?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye.
Next meeting.
How quickly can we get on that, Phil? Is that something, are you all willing to come in? Dave and Lana, are you willing to come in?
Absolutely.
Right away?
The only problem is Dave and I are leaving town next week. So
Well.
if it's something that we can do within a week's time,
Can-
yeah, otherwise it's going to have to wait a couple of weeks.
I don't understand the request. Are you going back to a self-survey and you're going to let them talk amongst themselves?
No, we'll just let them.
I think that's what they wanted to do, to be able to talk to the other property owners. Is that correct?
Well, is it necessary to talk to all of the property owners again at this point? Or do you just want to come in and have a say as to how it may or may not impact your property? Because it sounds to me like the majority of people that did sign the survey have some major concerns about safety issues and lack of lighting.
And I don't think that Dave and I are disagreeing with that at all. And we obviously don't live down there, so we don't face these issues
Right.
like they do. And I think if I did live down there, I'd probably have the same concerns. Our concern is just the placement of the light pole and where the light's going to shine. Is it going to shine? I noticed on one of the surveys, one of the ladies says she was against it because the light was going to come in her windows. So I think that's more Dave and I's concern is where we're going with all of that.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Because it doesn't seem like anybody's in disagreement that we need lights. And maybe council could reconsider its motion and approve placement of lights and locations to be determined through some process with Mr. Johnson and the neighbors and the Waterses just sitting down and maybe they move them, maybe they don't move them, but at least the lights are approved. So these guys know they're getting lights. Waterses know they're getting some consideration. We're moving forward, and then all maybe council has to approve, if anything, is where they go.
Would you be amenable to that?
I think we'd rather have a little bit of time to discuss.
Well, but how much time are you going to need?
But like I say, if we do it within the next week, then
Phil, do you have some time this week to meet with them?
I have tomorrow morning and Thursday morning. I'm booked both.
Can you work that in?
we will be what we have.
Okay. Well, if you can, it's just because making these people wait seems, if you in fact are going to be in agreement with it, it's just a question of tweaking the placement, then let's not drag this out any longer than we need to if we don't have to.
If you could bring it back at the next meeting, that would work great for us.
I would like to add one thing, and that is during a subdivision development, streetlights are oftentimes placed at intersections, where both of these are currently. One is at the intersection of Melrose, and the other one is at off of Edith. So they're within standard locations of where we'd normally put them, or have a developer put them if they were to build a subdivision. So if we're talking about semantics of having them on a corner so they're not impeding a driveway access, that's not even an issue. I mean, we would never do that to impede access to either a lot from either road. So I'll make myself available on this so we can get this knocked out. But I think that the residents have stated the need.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So then,
That's tabled till next.
we'll table.
So we need to. So I think you're tabled till next unless you make another motion to change the first motion before we.
To table.
Yeah. Okay. So we want to leave it as we stated it to begin with.
Yep, so
Okay.
it's tabled.
Okay.
To the
Can you
next
all
meeting.
live with that? Can you all live with that? It'll lengthen the time by 2 weeks. Okay. So come again.
And so for the public hearing, for the record, everybody's comments are already on the record, so you're welcome to come again and listen to the conversation and the vote. Or if you're like, I've already spoken and I felt like I shouldn't have to do that, you don't have to come. So you're welcome. It's your public building. We'd love to see you guys. But if you'd rather stay at home and, I don't know, watch TV or something, you
Watch
can do
this
that.
on television. You
Right.
can watch this on
Yeah,
television.
you can live stream, get some popcorn.
The next council meeting is the 4th Tuesday of this month. So, okay? All right. Resolution number 2, Series 2018, the mail ballot election. Linda. Thank you guys for coming.
Excuse me. The municipal election for this year, oh, should I wait for a few minutes?
Maybe just
Okay.
until the board clears.
Okay. So the municipal election is set for Tuesday, April 3rd. And our city charter sets it by the first Tuesday after the first Monday. And I'm asking that the city council tonight authorize the election to be a mail ballot election. I think 2 years ago we had our first mail ballot election, and we had a lot of electors vote. We had 1,300 ballots back, and I would like to recommend that we again have a mail ballot election rather than polling. It seems to be something that's consistent for our community. The county does them now, and everybody has them that way. So that's what I'd like to recommend.
Any questions, council?
None.
May I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 2, Series 2018, authorizing a mail ballot election to be held on April 3rd, 2018.
Second.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All right, ordinance number 1236, Series 2018, public hearing. Linda.
No, Your Honor, I've got this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
right.
looking at the one above.
Yeah, I've only got one tonight. I'm going to do it. In 2001, registered electors in the city voted in favor of a .0055 tax to fund debt service and ongoing maintenance of the recreation center, which is basically a tax of 5.5 cents for every $10 that is spent. And that is set to expire December 31st, 2021. Following the construction of the recreation center, the city has used a portion of the tax generated to fund the operation of the building, thus keeping the rates for the city affordable for our residents. After thoughtful discussion and deliberation by council, it was determined that keeping the recreation center affordable is in the best interest of the community and the facility, and that asking the residents to extend the reduced tax amount was the responsible and correct action to take. So the city engaged D. Weiser with Butler Snow to draft an ordinance that contains the ballot question. It does represent 3 basic elements. So it conforms with the laws of the state of Colorado, and specifically the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. It conforms with the city's charter, as well as the previous ballot question. And then it also has input from the city on what we'd like the question to achieve. So the tax would be reduced to .0035 or 3.5 cents on a $10 purchase. It would be used only for operations, maintenance, and capital improvements, including any additions in the future to the Family Recreation Center. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say, other than because this is a Tabor issue, it will allow the electors to submit written comments for a summary. Those must be filed 45 days prior to the election, and notices must be mailed to the electors at least 30 days before the election. Even though this isn't a coordinated election, the city clerk would prefer to kind of use the same time frames. So the ballot question internally must be certified by February 2nd, 2018. Which is 60 days before the April 3rd election, meaning that we basically have the month of January to do our first and second reading. So this is kind of it for us to set the ballot question.
Okay. Any questions, council? May I have a motion?
I make a motion approving the first reading of ordinance 1236, Series 2018, an ordinance referring to a ballot issue to the registered electors at the regular municipal election to be held April 3rd, 2018, and set a public hearing for January 23rd, 2018.
Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All right, the 2018 joint chemical bid, Rick.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, over the last several years, the city has coordinated a joint chemical bid for the water and sewer plants in our area. This year, the participants were Town of Dolores, Town of Mancos, Montezuma Water Company, and City of Cortez. By combining the chemicals used by these plants and the quantity delivered semi-weekly has allowed quite a bit of cost savings. Each award, or each entity awards their own chemicals. So in other words, for this bid, the City Council will only be awarding chemicals used by the city water plant. The bid opening was held on January 3rd. We had 6 responses to the proposal, and we award these based on the individual items to take advantage of the best price. The city amount for this bid annually would be $168,884.40.
All right, are there any questions, council?
I don't have any.
All right, may I have a motion, please?
I make a mayor to approve the motion. Everyone get that?
Well, I don't know what the second is.
Sorry. I was channeling someone else then. Make a motion to approve the 2018 joint chemical bid to the individual highlighted vendors. Total City of the Cortez award is $168,884.40.
Second.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
recovered nicely though, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Thank
Yes, you did.
I gotta follow this.
All right.
That'll be hard.
The next item on tonight's agenda is a quasi-judicial item to set a public hearing date for a new marijuana store.
The city,
I would just like to ask.
sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, okay. Shall I go forward or?
Yes, ma'am, go for it.
Okay.
channeling Ty.
Okay.
Something's
Okay.
in the air.
Because this is a quasi-judicial item, I would like to ask if anyone on council has discussed this topic with anyone prior to this evening. And if so, please disclose that conversation so that a determination can be made as to whether or not you should participate in the discussion and vote on this matter. So has anybody had private conversations about this that they want to accuse themselves of?
They're not open yet.
Okay. Okay. All righty.
Thank you, ma'am. This is an application for a new marijuana store. It is, as you described it, as a quasi-judicial matter, meaning you're going to make a decision based on the evidence presented to you at the hearing. What we need is for you to make a motion to set the hearing for February 13th of 2018 for the review of an application for chronic therapy, Cortez LLC, and this location will be at 1020 South Broadway, which is the Lots of Pasta building.
How soon will they have to be out of there?
Have no idea, ma'am. I'm not privy to any of that.
Okay.
I think a lot of things depend on how this all comes out over
Okay.
time.
Okay.
The people who are in there now own the building, correct?
I think so.
Will they retain ownership?
I guess I'd like to caution us about discussing this thing right now because this is quasi-judicial.
So we're just setting
and
the date.
You were just setting
Okay.
the day,
Okay.
and these are actually questions, we've got to complete our investigation. You've given us some ideas for a couple questions to cover in the investigation.
Okay, all right. Well, since there are no other questions, may I have a motion?
I make a motion to set the public hearing date of February 13th, 2018 for the review of the new retail marijuana store for chronic therapy, Cortez Limited Liability Company, to be located at 1020 South Broadway, Cortez.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. McLaughlin.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. All right, the golf professional contract for Rudowski Golf LLC. Dean.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council, and yes, I'm interested on how this motion will take place.
Staying out of this one, Dean. I've had 2 nice recoveries.
The City of Cortez entered into a 3-year contract with Rudowski Golf LLC for golf professional services at the Conquistador Golf Course on January 1st, 2015. The golf professional contract expired December 31st, 2017, is now up for renewal. Rudowski Golf LLC has continued to provide an exceptional customer service at the Conquistador Golf Course, and I recommend we continue to retain their golf professional services at our golf course for the next 3 years. The new golf professional contract will increase the annual base amount from $32,000 to $34,000. Rudowski Golf LLC will be eligible for a yearly bonus based on revenue increases from the daily fees collected in keeping with the intent of the current contract. However, the past 3 years' average for daily fees collected has been adjusted down from $141,187 to $131,404. The Golf Pro will receive 10% of the increase over the past 3 years, the $131,404 as a bonus. The projected amount to be paid out in the 2018 budget is $39,500. And also in conversations with Micah Rudowski on Friday, and it wasn't able to be changed in the contract, he did make one request that we have a cap of 80 private golf carts, and currently right now we've been having about 74 or 75 private golf carts on the course through the, our registration for what's allowed there. And he just requested if it was over 80 that his contract could be amended on his percentage, which is now 10%. Just out of concern, if we raise that cap, it really does impact his business with the public rental carts that's his responsibility.
Okay. All right, council, any questions?
I did have one for Mike. Given the fact that Mr. Rudowski kind of works as an independent contractor, from a liability standpoint, I was just looking at this workers' compensation stuff. As an independent contractor inside of a city building, is that kind of a gray area with our insurance?
It's somewhat factual. His workers' comp is his workers' comp for his employees. Liability, negligence, those kind of things. It's like a landlord-tenant contractor what do you call it? More like landlord-tenant. I own the land. I'm going to have some responsibility. I'm going to have some exposure, and so is he. To get into an exact answer, we'd have to get factual as to what kind of an incident we're talking about.
No,
we're not liable for his workers' comp. At least as from what I know right now, we're not liable with that. The negligence, the liability for injuries, things like that is always going to depend factually on who's in it.
Okay. So there's not a lot of ambiguity when it comes to those types of things, given the fact that there are times when he is basically in charge of a city facility as an independent contractor.
He's going to be responsible for his actions in managing the facility, and we're going to be responsible for owning the facility. Okay. Kind of two separate, but yet the same.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, any questions? Any other questions?
I have none.
All right, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the new golf professional contract and maintaining the golf professional services of Rudowski Golf LLC for the next 3 years. Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. All right, the next item on the agenda is addendum number 4 to City Manager Shane Hale's employment contract. If I can pull this up here. Council voted, when was that?
Council didn't vote.
No,
You
council
voted.
didn't vote. Council met in executive session.
Yeah, and that was in December.
In our
I think
December, in our
12th.
December, right.
So you would need to have your vote.
Our vote occurs now, yes. So I'm just trying to pull this up here. All right. We agreed that in light of the exceptional job that our city manager is doing for the city of Cortez, that we would increase his salary by 3.5%, reflecting an annual salary of $110,025, and that commences on the anniversary of his hiring, which is October the 31st. I don't know how auspicious that date is for a hiring, October the 31st, but it's been good for us. We also agreed to amend his credited personal vacation hours to 160 hours per year, commencing again on the anniversary date of October the 31st.
No, Your Honor, I think it was to increase the maximum accrual of 280.
That you can,
Yeah,
yes.
the 160 was already.
Right, right. So that it just rolls over. Where are we here? Unused vacation time can then be rolled over to the next year and continue to accrue to a maximum of up to 280 hours. So that he doesn't lose vacation time just because he's dedicated to his job and doesn't feel like he can take up the time because he needs to be here. And then finally, we agreed that in the event that the city wishes to terminate Shane's contract through no fault of, through a decision made by the city council, not because of malfeasance or embezzlement or any of those kinds of things, that the city would pay a lump sum cash payment equal to 7 months aggregate compensation. So are there any questions or comments? Then may I have a motion?
Your Honor, Mayor, I make a motion approving addendum number 4 to the employment contract with City Manager Shane Hale.
Second.
Carlson.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
I'm sorry, we were just looking at that. No, not.
Is there a
It's
question?
fine. Yeah, where it says the approval of addendum number 4, I was looking on it, on this, and it's not there. The addendum number 4 isn't on here?
It's right here.
It's addendum number 3, section.
No, wait, the
Those
top
are-
part says addendum.
Right here, tie in the very
It's on-
top.
Oh,
it's
gotcha.
on
Title.
112.
Thank you.
That's the title.
Thank you.
It includes all of his other.
Yeah, me too. Sorry.
Okay.
You're on a roll, buddy.
Carlson, yes.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sheik.
Hi. All right, we have no other draft resolutions or ordinances. We have no other items of business. Is there a citizen that would like to address council at this time? Going, gone. All right, there's no city attorney's report. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, Your Honor, just one reminder for council and for the audience. This Friday, we have a TES Talk. We have Robert Bodwin, who is NBA Hall of Fame mascot. He was the mascot for the Houston Rockets for many years. He will be speaking this Friday at the high school. Doors open at 6:15. He's really there to kind of lift everybody up, just kind of talk about how he went from making minimum wage to, being a $250,000 a year person, and he just kind of built this himself. So it's a great inspirational talk. It's being sponsored by First National Bank. The city and Cortez Retail Enhancement have worked together a lot to get this going, and I think it's a nice way to lift up our community. And I sure hope to see, if you can come to a council meeting, you can go to that thing. I guarantee you.
It'll be more fun.
If you found this at all entertaining, you're going to be blown away by Mr. Bodwin. So I hope to see everybody there.
And tell your friends and neighbors too. In order for us to be able to keep these things going, we need to have participation. So it's a nice thing the city's trying to do. All right. Are there any committee reports? Nope.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
First of the year.
Yeah. All right, the workshop, we got to watch a harassment training video, which I will
No,
tell
not
you
in a
is.
harassment training video. We didn't learn how to be
That's what
harassed.
that's what it says. It says harassment training video.
Harassment.
No comment.
Harassment
prevention. Just to be on the record, I learned nothing. How to harass.
Produced by Harvey Weinstein. We had a presentation by John Brooks on our new website, and I would encourage all of you to go home and type in cityofcortez.com and look and see what the new website looks like. He's done a really nice job. It's a lot more. It's a lot more user-friendly, and there's some really cool little links on there that if you spend any time with it, I think you'll be quite impressed. I was. We had a presentation by ME&E for regarding the HVAC system at the police department. We tweaked and fine-tuned with a discussion on the Cortez Rec Center question, the tax issue on that. We discussed the city council vacancy due to Tim's passing. David Nettle from Needful Provisions Incorporated was on hand to make a presentation on urban farming concept. And then we came in here. Is there anything else for the good of the city?
I do have one thing.
Yes.
Cortez Idol, year number 6, starting tomorrow.
At Bonnie's.
If you want to audition, 2 Wednesdays, I'm a judge. But yes, it's a lot of fun. We've actually had a local brewer, a sheriff's daughter, a doctor's daughter. We've had a young single mother win, and this is year number 6. It is open. It's a family-friendly event.
Were those all winners?
Yes.
Just mentioned?
Yes.
It's your year, Ty.
They are.
It's
A
your year,
farmer won one year. We've had a very diverse group. However, not many men. So if any of you are singers, it's all ages. Please come and audition tomorrow night, 7
Dean?
p.m. Blondie's Trophy Room. Please come.
So now does the competition? When does the competition?
So the
actually
auditions are the next 2 Wednesdays, and then the competition, if you make it into the top 20, begins the final Saturday of January and goes for 6 weeks, and there's a $1,000 prize to the winner. It's a great event. And if you've never been to it, I strongly encourage you to come. I realize that a lot of people shy away from bars because they think they have a bad reputation. I can tell you that is one of the best family events I've been to, and I've been involved in it for 6 years, so. Anyway.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
On your website, meetings and agendas, the last posting was October 24th.
I think if you'll go back and look at it now, you'll find that it's up to date. Did you look at it this evening? Because tonight's agenda is on there.
So I couldn't find anything as far as what was accomplished in November, December.
They're all on the website.
I was going to say, you may want to double check again, because I know when I review the website at the first of the week or over the weekend, I didn't find anything beyond October, but then when I went back again, I know the agenda, and I didn't look further than tonight, but I know the agenda for this meeting was on there, and they're supposed to be up to date. So. Well, are you pulling it up?
Yeah.
Hang on just a second, we're pulling it up.
Everything was listed on it a few minutes ago when I looked at it. Everything was listed on it a few minutes ago, and I pulled it up. There was a list of the meetings in the past.
Have you tried clearing your browser history or cookies? Maybe you're pulling up a. Have you tried clearing out your browser history or your cookies? You might be pulling up an old version of the page. Because we all looked at it about 6 p.m. tonight too, and we could all see it, because we had a demonstration on it. Might be worth checking out. Okay, all right. Have a great evening.
Sir?
Come here a minute. How's she doing?
City council meeting.
Are we adjourned?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, we are adjourned.
What?
Well, there is only the agenda for today.
See you for now.
Here, it's right here. Go under government to agendas. Congratulations. Yeah. 6 months.
Do you want to sign it?
So January 9th is there.
Sure, that's the right. Always nice to do the job.
So it's got today's agenda.
It's all there. Yeah, the last
He has to